OpenAI announced today that the O3 Pro model has finally come out. O3 itself was the turning point. 2 months ago, it came out, and that was the model that made me think the LLMs are smarter than us in so many contexts. So in this video, I'm sharing how we've been using it, how you can use it as well, and giving away our guide at the end. When it comes to other models, there are many models that are faster, cheaper, and can take more context, but O3 specifically is where I've spent most of my time in the last 2 months. Why this is a big deal now in a go-to-market context. If you look at your go-to-market motion and you've been ignoring things because you think there's no point in spending on multiple LLM tools, or you think that it's not worth it to pay more than a $20 a month subscription, or even if you think that most tasks need to be handled by your team instead of AI, to me, we've crossed that line. The AI scientists will debate where the actual line is on when the models outperform us. To me, in so many contexts, that line has been passed, has been crossed. And if you don't believe me, take it from all the CEOs of Shopify, Box, Fiverr, all these companies who have announced going AI first over the last 2 months, which coincidentally around the same time when O3 came out. ChatGPT has been out since November 2022, but all these announcements have come over the last couple of weeks. I don't think it's a coincidence. Lots of changes are coming. In the end, if the model is this impressive, and yes, they're not perfect, they trip out sometimes, they don't have all the context they need when you need it all the time, but this is what you can do now, today. Sales leader, a founder, go-to-market hire using O3. I'm gonna go through 4 different use cases. First is Operator. So last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago now, OpenAI announced that Operator would no longer run on 4.0, it would run on O3. Big deal. A lot of people didn't like the first version of Operator on 4.0 because it was weak, but O3 is a much smarter model. So here's a video of me using Operator. I'm going into Wellfound, what used to be AngelList, to find job postings for SDRs, sales managers. What I want to do is scrape this list for all the companies that are hiring, go through each of the job postings, tell me how Zevenue can serve each hiring company, and then tell me for each role what channel they want their sales reps to be doing their outreach on. And that will help guide our sales motion to see if we can be of help to them or not. You might be asking, why not do this in Clay? This example, it's basic, but the use case is super important. There's 2 important things to note. One is a true agentic workflow. Using Operator is a real hands-off experience. You prompt once, you're not going through cells, but it's a single prompt. And the great thing about Operator is it goes back and forth with you. You can see in the video where it logs in. When it needs me to log in, it will stop. It will ask me to add my login details. And then hands off, it's driving and taking control of everything. It's a true agentic workflow, which is super impressive. It combines AI agents with web browsing ability and the ability to take over from me when needed. Second, and more importantly, this entire video is about O3. And O3 is not in Clay just yet. I'm sure it's coming soon, but the previous model, which I found to be the most impressive, O1, could not go online and do web search and all the impressive things that O3 is able to do. O3 is not only the best model at reasoning, but it also has the ability to search and work with other tools. And so if you have a selective list that you're working with, like in the example that I shared, when you want to do a deep dive instead of a high volume search, you don't want to be using 4.1, 4.1 mini, 4.0 mini. These models are extremely cost effective. But what I want in certain contexts is to have an agent that's as smart as me looking at each website and telling me, this is how you can help this company. And that will help to dictate the next step of the email I write or the in-mail I send, or even the decision for, is this company worth us reaching out to or not? I want the highest level of intelligence possible, the highest level of reasoning possible. To me, that means I need to throw O3 at it. And Operator currently is the way to get access to this model. Soon, Clay will allow it, but for now, this is how I'm going about it. Another note is that Operator requires access to ChatGPT Pro, but the other examples I'm going through don't need it. Second, campaign ideation. This is something we've been doing since GPT-4. But basically, this is not writing your cold emails. This is coming up with the ideas for what campaign you're going to run. So if you give it the right inputs, like this prompt that I'm going to share, along with the data that the prompt asks for, you can get campaign ideas that, in my opinion, are probably better than what you or your sales reps are going to come up with. Hot take, try it for yourself. The important thing is the depth of the context that you provided. That's the recurring theme with all of these models. And so I like doing this when we have a new segment we're going after, even with clients who we've worked with for more than a year. There are times when they'll come to us with a new segment that they want to explore and or run a test on. And that will be a matter of not so much can we test our way and improve campaign performance, but more, can we come up with a really great starting point and then iterate from there. And so this is what I like for that specific use case. And then what you want is to come up with several ideas, and then you can use your team to choose what makes the most sense, what's actually feasible, go from there. Third use case, prep for sales calls and demos, and especially demos. What you're able to do now, OpenAI made the announcement that ChatGPT will be built into your calls, but that's if you have Teams. If you don't have Teams, the other alternative is Clay will let you do this natively if you have access to Gong. But even if you don't have Gong or Teams, like us as Zevenue, what you can do is export your transcript export all the context from your discovery call, and then put it into this prompt to figure out how you should set up your demo. For us, our demos are slide decks, right? We're not actually doing software demos, but this has saved me not only time putting together the sales deck that we present, the page link that we send after, but it's also helped me personally uncover things that I wouldn't uncover before. Sometimes a prospect makes an offhand comment about something and I don't even think it's worth noting down, but it turns out that's actually relevant for a way that we could help them. Or sometimes it's not even just something I didn't note down myself. Sometimes it's a connection to a problem that I wouldn't have identified myself that I'm able to do now that the transcript is recorded, and you can prep for your demo, not just by saving time, but by making connections that you may have missed the first time around. The last use case, which is not finalized, but the most interesting to me, reporting. And this is reporting in a cold email context. The big issue with reporting today in the world of cold email is once you get good at cold email, what does good mean? You've scaled things, right? You're not sending 100 emails a week. You have multiple domains, spin tags, segmentation, tests that you're running. Once you've evolved beyond the basic A/B tests, and you actually have many different variations of your emails going out every week for deliverability purposes, there is way too much context for any one person to view. And I think reporting is a huge miss for so many sales teams today, because most sales teams do one of two things. Either the sales leader just relies on their instinct and says, I think this campaign will perform better because I know my audience, and so we're going to go with this. Sales reps are guilty of doing this too. I used to be guilty of doing this. Or second, what happens, simplify things to the extent that from this week and next week, our main test is, should I use friendly subject line or something more aggressive? And that's fine if that's the only variance that you have in between your cold emails. But once you reach a certain point, you have different personas, multiple campaigns with multiple steps, with different hooks, different value props, different calls to action. There's so much data to ingest week by week. And I'm confident that so many teams are missing out on this because they either have to spend lots of resources on it, they feel is wasted, or they just decided it's not worth it. And so what we're working on right now is we use Instantly for cold email, but using the API to parse out the successful emails and actually look at each one by one to see what's worked and what hasn't worked, and throw that into an LLM to do the analysis for us. I remember there was a company called Creatext a couple of years ago that was working on this. It's a super interesting problem space. As soon as we crack it, I'll make a separate video on what that workflow looks like. Anyways, okay, these are 4 use cases for our O3 prompt guide. Leave a comment, I will send it to you.